Okay, so this is the interview with Professor Henriquez of School of Public Policy of UC Berkeley, and this is for the class about political aspect in transportation of Hong Kong University. And a couple of questions ask Professor Henriquez is, we know there's several mega projects going on and or has been proposed in California, and could you comment about the decision-making process within the government and how actually people make those decisions? So that's the first question.
Well, first, thank you, Jason, for this opportunity to talk to your students at Hong Kong University. As many of you know, California has decided to build a high-speed rail. This is a very controversial issue. It's a large infrastructure project that will take decades to develop the whole system. So it has had undergone the different stages of from first initiating as an idea to developing the institutional build-up to actually launch the project, and the debate that surrounds these type of decisions. However, voters signaled in 2008, they signaled that they wanted to develop this project by authorizing the issuance of debt through Proposition A1, and after that, most recently, after a lot of political wrangling between those who are against and those who are in favor through the institution that was created that fostered that dialogue, which is the California High-Speed Rail Authority, the budget approved in last July 2012 funding for 4.5 billion. Sorry, for there's 6 billion that will actually free up 4.5 billion that were about to expire that the federal government offered to contribute. But to get there from the idea to get to the point that we are now, in which the project is now moving along, there's been many years, a lot of debate. The High-Speed Rail Authority was criticized for being a very small group of people deciding on a very large project outside the traditional institutions like Cal Transportation Agency or the Department of Transportation of the State of California. It was created as an independent institution. It was criticized as being at the beginning very opaque, not very transparent in the decision making. However, the plan was, of course, commissioned. There was a lot of influence by people who can present better technical analysis. Some other groups were just politically against it. In America, we are going through a process of what's called political polarization, where political groups end up in very extreme positions. And this topic in particular, has been labeled a little bit like an Obama idea. Initially, it was talked by or introduced the concept by Al Gore. So the Republican Party and nowadays the more extreme group, the Tea Party, have labeled this as something that has to be killed, that it's excess, that is spending that we don't need, or that the state is broke. For others, it's a project of vision, of the future, of changing the culture, of creating a less car-dependent society in California, and changing the way we develop in terms of urban development, foster smart growth. So these positions have clashed in the public hearings. California has a very well-structured system of public consultation where everybody can air their differences. And if you cannot agree in that process, then you also have legal resources to intervene and stop or fight the project.
So Professor Henriquez just mentioned the public consultation process, and this is very important in China, in Asian country as well, because when China tried to do the high-speed rail, we always kind of move people out of the territory, and definitely a lot of people want to they vote against this, or even the extreme political party, just like what you said, like Tea Party, they are organized people. So how to actually make people believe their opinion will be taken into consideration in this process, and also further reach some sort of consensus and move the project on, and what's the California's practice?
Well, as you know, America, it's democracy, and democracy places or favors the individual. Mm-hmm. So individual opinions matter, but it's the responsibility of government to protect groups, especially groups that could be affected by other groups' decisions. So those who are not organized, could be the poor, minorities, they also have a voice. And that's why I mentioned at the beginning that the main criticism of the high-speed rail authority in California initially was the lack of transparency. Mm-hmm. So on one hand, the system is designed for taking into account everybody's opinion. Mm-hmm. In America, there's a big culture of creating non-governmental organizations that support and help to give voice to either issues that are of concern of the society but that haven't been protected, like environment or social justice. And it is also, as I said, responsibility of government to protect those. So there are even agencies of government that could sue another agency in government for the protection of a group. The Environmental Protection Agency can sue the High-Speed Rail Authority if they are not fulfilling all the legal requirements to protect the environment. Okay. The California system, it's even more inclusive and gives voice to individuals if they organize. You know, the system of ballots, like I mentioned initially, the initial funding for these or support for this came by voting and saying, yes, you can issue debt to our state to fund this project. So that's a very clear signal that a group that organized of citizens were able to pass an idea and to make it part of the program or programmatic goals of the state. So yeah, consultation is very important and it's taken very seriously. And again, in a democracy, if individuals have a voice and they ask and demand from their government transparency and accountability in the decision making.
Okay, and the third question is, we know Professor Henriquez travel back and forth between U.S. and Asia, quite often, and this video was taken in Taipei. This morning we went to see the senior people of Taiwan high-speed rail people. Democracy takes time. Usually it slows down the process. So for Taiwan's case, we finished the high-speed rail within 8 years, and the contract is only 64 pages. So when we do the consultation in more detail, how you actually compare and see two different way of doing those projects. In China, where a lot of high-speed rail projects is actually ongoing, but it seems like the speed is very, very fast. But the bad part is there's lack of transparency and the lack of consultation. But in the U.S. is the other extreme. The consultation is very detailed, very serious, but the budget is like huge and the time take a lot of time. How you see those could those two regions learn each other, and what's gonna be the best practice, and in your opinion?
Well, it is a balancing act. It was very interesting to hear what we heard today that you mentioned about the speed and fast development of the project here in Taiwan. I think one key thing that was communicated to us today was that government was very aware from that beginning what were the social needs and the social aspects that were needed to be protected from the part of the government, and that the rest were technical aspects easy to solve. But if government from the beginning is aware of what people need, what's the public interest, it's easier to have less opposition. In the U.S., particularly in California, everybody has an opinion. It's open to participate in the process. But in America, we believe that taking into account every stakeholder, it's important for the process. Of course, you're not going to reach unanimity, but you're going to try to reach some level of consensus. At the end, as I said, the individual is king. Well, in the U.S. also the taxpayer is king. The taxpayer is the boss, and they say what they want and how they want. You have to modulate that also with the needs of a project. That if you spend too much time developing the project, then you can go in overrun costs, and then projects that were expected to be 100 billion become 200 billion, and so time is money, and you have to modulate that between your institutional process, and how much of that you want to use to take advantage of the consultation, get good ideas, but also increase the political feasibility of your project. Because sometimes if government, especially in a democracy, introduces a policy just top down without any consultation, it might face a lot of opposition. It might never get done. So it's two different systems. Maybe Taiwan presents something in between. It's hybrid, and that it's an interesting lesson for California to learn about how to advance as much as possible all these social and economic justice questions, or even environmental concepts. As we talked about security, earthquake risk management, all these considerations, and advance the discussion as much as possible. So when you present a plan, it already includes many of the or reflects many of the concerns of society. But California is a large state, more than 30 million people, and a lot of economic interests. And on top of that, the way the system is organized in the U.S., lobbying firms or interest groups are very smart in how they try to influence policy. So as a public official, you have to be very careful in managing your program development in the legal and institutional manner that it's the process that has been set already by the law.
Okay, so I guess that's pretty much. And the last things, we know you come over, and also visit Hong Kong as well. And this class is under the MATPP program of Hong Kong University, which is interdisciplinary program, including professor from civil engineering, urban planning, and geography. So this video is not only shared with the student, but also with the faculty members. So do you have any comment want to share with the Hong Kong University, which is the best university in Hong Kong, probably the best in Asia? I know you have several, like government official training program and sustainability, transportation, any sort of those ideas, and you could comment on that, and I could share this with the faculty.
Well, I come also from an interdisciplinary program, public policy. It's we define it as the interdisciplinary approach to problem solving in the public sector. So any interaction or cooperation with Hong Kong U would be very interesting. We also like to call ourselves the best public university in the world. The rankings show that. And the School of Public Policy, the Goldman School of Public Policy, is ranked currently by U.S. World News Report as the #1 school of public policy in the United States. And I personally I direct a research center as a Center for Environmental Public Policy, and as Jason just mentioned, we work on sustainability aspects. Now, most recently focusing on high-speed rail and transportation. I also work on emissions trading, the cap and trade system, and it'd be very interesting to explore areas of cooperation with your university and find common areas of interest with my colleagues in the area of research, but I also work, and I have another program, it's called EIP, Executive International Programs, and we work in training, executive training of government officials and decision makers and NGOs that I'd be happy to explore cooperation and interaction with your university and your program, since it's very similar in terms of the nature of how you approach problem solving and research.
Sure. Okay. So we appreciate the interview with Professor Henriquez, and that's conclude today's interview.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.